Some mysteries refuse to fade. They linger, haunting the edges of reality, where facts dissolve into speculation. This is one of them, the strange, unsettling death of Elisa Lam. Elisa was a 21-year-old Canadian student from Vancouver, traveling alone through California. She had a passion for books, poetry, and blogging, frequently sharing her thoughts on Tumblr, where she documented her experiences and struggles with bipolar disorder and depression. As part of her trip, she checked into the Cecil Hotel, a once glamorous 1920s building in downtown Los Angeles, now infamous for its dark history of suicides, murders, and even ties to serial killers like Richard Ramirez, the Night Stalker. At first, she was placed in a shared room, but after just a few days, her roommates complained about her odd behavior. Hotel staff eventually moved her to a private room, but what exactly happened in those days remains unclear. On the 31st of January, 2013, Elisa was supposed to check out of the Cecil Hotel and continue her journey to Santa Cruz, but she never did. Her parents, who were in constant contact with her, immediately grew worried when she didn't call. They reported her missing. The LAPD launched an investigation, searching the hotel, but found nothing, no sign of a struggle, no forced entry. She had simply vanished. Then came the elevator footage. Nearly 2 weeks later, the LAPD released a 4-minute surveillance video of Elisa inside the hotel's elevator. It was unsettling. In the footage, Elisa presses multiple buttons and waits. The doors refuse to close. She peeks into the hallway, then quickly ducks back inside, almost as if she is hiding from someone. Her movements become bizarre, erratic. She steps in and out, waves her arms strangely, and then she walks away, disappearing off screen. Finally, after nearly 4 minutes, the elevator doors close. The footage went viral, sparking countless theories. Was she being followed, stalked, under the influence of drugs, or experiencing a mental health crisis? For 19 days, no one knew where she was. Then, guests at the Cecil Hotel began complaining about the water. It tasted odd, looked dark, and smelled foul. The water pressure had also weakened. On the 19th of February, a maintenance worker named Santiago Lopez climbed to the hotel's rooftop water tanks to investigate. Inside one of the 4 large tanks, he made a horrific discovery: Elisa Lam's lifeless body, floating face up in the water. She had been missing for nearly 3 weeks. Her death shocked the world, but the questions only deepened. The autopsy was inconclusive. There were no drugs or alcohol in her system, no signs of trauma, wounds, or struggle. The final ruling? Accidental drowning, likely caused by her bipolar disorder. But that explanation didn't sit well with many. For starters, how did Elisa get onto the rooftop? All stairwell doors were locked, and alarm-only hotel staff had access. The water tanks were 8 feet tall, with no ladders attached. The metal lids were heavy, making it nearly impossible for someone of her size to lift and close one alone. And yet, there she was. Had she climbed the fire escape unnoticed, in the middle of the night? Was she led there? Or was something more sinister at play? Then there was the hotel itself, a place steeped in darkness. The Cecil Hotel was no stranger to tragedy. Richard Ramirez, the Night Stalker, stayed there in the 1980s while carrying out his brutal murder spree. Jack Unterweger, an Austrian serial killer, lived there while strangling women across LA in 1991. It had been the site of suicides, murders, overdoses, and unsolved deaths for decades. Could Elisa have been another victim of its haunting past? And then, the chilling coincidences. In 2005, a Japanese horror film called Dark Water was released. Its plot? A young girl drowns in a rooftop water tank while the hotel's tap water turns black. Sound familiar? Even more bizarre, at the time of Elisa's death, there was a tuberculosis outbreak on Skid Row, just blocks from the Cecil Hotel. The name of the TB test used to diagnose it? Lam Elisa. A coincidence or something more? Despite the wild speculation, most experts agree on one possible explanation. Elisa had been prescribed 4 psychiatric medications, but her toxicology report suggested she had not been taking them properly. This could have led to a manic or psychotic episode, possibly causing hallucinations or paranoia explaining her erratic behavior in the elevator. She may have climbed onto the roof herself, looking for a place to hide, unaware of the danger. She somehow got inside the water tank, but once inside, she couldn't get out. A tragic accident, brought on by mental illness. And yet, why was the elevator malfunctioning? Why did hotel staff take so long to find her? How did she bypass all security measures? Even with an explanation, the questions remain. A decade later, Elisa Lam's story still disturbs, fascinates, and unsettles those who hear it. It is a modern mysterione that blurs the line between fact and fear, coincidence and conspiracy, reality and nightmare. Was it an accident, a murder, or something beyond explanation? Some questions are never meant to be answered.